Fangs and Infernos, your beloved devil, your beloved vampire, and of course Mrs. Vamp as well, are returning to another trip up to Jersey, as we have been invited once again, my good friend, to participate in doing press and hanging out with our friends up at New Jersey HorrorCon, my guy. And that is coming up this weekend. And it's definitely shaping up to be a good time. We always enjoy it. It's, it's a great family atmosphere for like our family in the horror community that we're going to get to see again. Like my good man, my brethren, Lord Damien will be back there. So it's always great to see our family. They've always treated us really great. Ryan has always been fantastic when it comes to New Jersey HorrorCon. But there's also a great guest list, as always, my man. So let's talk a little bit about what we have to look forward to in only a few days.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different because usually, like most horror cons, they tend to usually be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And now this year, they decided to, New Jersey Horror Con decided to just do Saturday and Sunday. So that's going to be kind of interesting. This just us being there. Instead of having that Friday, that 3 days, they kind of packed out all these guest lists for just 2 days of excitement. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. As far as like the changes. But yeah, like we've always had a good time at New Jersey Horror Con. You know what I mean? They've always treated us well, and it's always cool, and it's always looking forward to seeing some of the, like you said, some of the people that we always see, like American Grim guys are going to be there, which
Yeah.
we always see. I just saw an announcement the other day. I'm not 100% sure whether or not AC's going to be there, but I saw that Catfight Coffee is going to be there again. So, hopefully, I don't think AC's on the road right now, so we'll probably get, be able to see him and talk to him again. And then, obviously, there are a lot of cool vendors and stuff like that at the con that we always like, and
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot of them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the names they got. They got some big names this year. I'm super excited about the Blair Witch. We
Yeah.
up in Burkittsville, not that far away from where we're at. We go and check out the Blair Witch and go see what she's got to do. And it's pretty cool that they have the original cast, the three main students of Blair Witch, going to be there. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Definitely. So they've got, Heather, Michael, and Joshua, who are their main reunion. Like you said, the three main students for the Blair Witch. And it's also very cool as well because, we've never really, and not that this isn't a future episode, because to be honest, it probably will be for the style that we have. But you and I have never actually done a showdown around found footage films. And Blair Witch is probably the first and probably the most like well-known kind of first thought of when it comes to like found footage movies, probably with something like Paranormal Activity probably nipping at its heels. Like, I've the Fangs and Infernos know this about me, you know this about me. I'm not the world's biggest advocate for found footage movies. They just don't really raise my mast when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's just not really something. It's kind of like a third wall or a fourth wall or whatever. That's a little hard for me to like get through because I'm a big lost in the fantasy kind of guy. And for some reason, when it comes to found footage movies, it's a little harder to keep me in the fantasy when I'm looking like through a camera of a camera, like of a camera. It's just kind of weird. But the Blair Witch was definitely the first real movie to do that, to put a found footage situation on the big screen. And of course, it had its ups and downs. There's a lot of people even still to this day that aren't particularly fond of it, but it's definitely got its long lasting popular appeal, which allows reunions like this to go off, but also be like a featured reunion as opposed to them being brought in and have people be like, oh God, the Blair Witch people are going to be there. Whatever. No, I mean this is a featured reunion, and it does show that there was a little something special when it came to that particular movie.
No, yeah, you know what I mean. Especially with like us being huge Terrifier fans, and anybody who's into the Terrifier camp and stuff like that. A lot of those guys are going to be at New Jersey. A lot of the stream guys and stuff like that. People who have worked in and out of the Terrifier, Terrifier slash stream stuff. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, which is kind of interesting because you have like what would be old school low budget, that movie that blew up and made a crap load of money
Yeah.
with Blair Witch, meeting the new school people who are the Damians and and Michael Levy's and stuff like that of like Terrifier stream. Those guys, are now the new Blair Witch people. You know what I mean? They're the new independent people who are like making big ruffles in the in the horror genre, and especially smacking around Hollywood and stuff like that around saying. So it's kind of cool that you're going to kind of get old school, new school at this reunion at New Jersey HorrorCon.
Absolutely, 100%. And Halloween Town is also the other reunion that they're definitely predominantly featuring. The one thing that's really cool about horror cons in general, and New Jersey HorrorCon definitely does this as well, if not better than most, is having like good chunks of like multiple talent for a movie at one time. So like, of course, you're still going to have your solo individual appearances where somebody can get very like specifically excited about a solo individual person. Like for example, we have one of those, and we'll get into this talking about her shortly. But they're very good at like giving you the opportunity for like not only meeting people in movies that you really love, but knocking out a cool piece of memorabilia with multiple signatures, not just one. And so when it comes to Halloween Town, with Daniel, Robin, and Kim, that's another opportunity for fans of that franchise to leave with something cool that's got signed by multiple people. Like when New Jersey HorrorCon looked out for me personally when they brought in all those Hocus Pocus people a couple of years back.
Yeah. I mean, and the cool thing about New Jersey too that I love about it, because it is predominantly a horror con, but they're not afraid to bring in other genres and other parts of movies. I mean, we had the Revenge of the Nerds
Yes.
cast people that are not that those guys haven't been in those individual actors have been in horror movies and stuff, but but they were booked as a Revenge of the Nerds reunion. So it's always cool, with this one, you got, we were just talking a little bit ago before we went on air with Mindy, from Austin Powers, you know what I mean? Everybody knows who she is, So you got, you have like those kind of actors that are not predominantly horror or even really horror adjacent people that are there. So I think it's kind of cool where, they're not afraid to go a little bit into the pop culture of movies and stuff like that and get people that are not 100% always horror related. But like I said, you get some of those guys that are and stuff like that. Like they just recently put in everybody now is this big huge Scream. Everybody wants all these Scream guys. Everybody's getting these Scream
Yeah.
guys. All these kids now getting Scream guys. And you know what? I like Scream 1. I like Scream 2. The rest of them, hits or miss and a little bit here and there. But I was always a huge fan of Scary Movie. I love the spoof versions of it. And they got John Abrams that going to be there, who I'm also excited to meet because he was in probably one of my, even though he wasn't a big part in that movie, one of my favorite movies in like the 90s that were a crazy movie is Kids. He was in Kids. He was part of the skateboard crew. And I'm like, dude, that's going to be cool just to talk to him about like that movie. Cause that movie is like, such an iconic film for, people who grew up in the 90s, and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, yeah, I love the fact that, have that, you have this, I mean, I know it's going to be a little bit of a topic too that we can talk about, but everybody wants to get, you want to get the big, the other cons will get, the big Jasons or the big Michael Myers. And, they, New Jersey Horror Con said, you know what? We're going to go with a controversial Michael Myers.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Brad, which, everybody loves him. He's a cool actor. He's a cool
Really
stunt
cool.
guy. He just happens to be in what a lot of Halloween fans consider the worst of all the Halloween movies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, nothing against him. He didn't write the movie or direct the movie or, brought Busta Rhymes into it. It wasn't his fault.
No, not at all, man. And that's just what it really comes down to. And again, he's portraying Michael Myers. And the funny thing is Mrs. Vamp and I were having this conversation the other day, is the thing about him is regardless of what we or the horror community collectively think of Halloween Resurrection, it doesn't change the fact that you've got Brad, who's not only very good at what he does acting wise, very good at what he does stunt wise, but he does have the benefit of the protection of the mask, which is something very, very cool. And I look forward to us meeting him and seeing if he's got some time to conduct an interview as well, because I think it'd be a cool conversation as well. Because the thing when it came to Halloween Resurrection for me personally, I'll jump up on my soapbox, but only just for a moment, is that, in my opinion, the movie itself was that was an example of doomed by writing. It's just, it doesn't work for that franchise. I don't think it works for the Michael Myers character. The idea of turning the Michael Myers house basically into like the set of the real world, it doesn't work. I don't think it's proper. I don't think it fits. Frankly, I don't think it makes any sense. But at the same time, it wasn't my studio, it wasn't my money. You know, as the old saying goes, you know, look, the fact of the matter is, look, it's not my sandbox. And that's okay. It's okay for it not to be in my sandbox. But, you know, I do think it's going to be cool to meet Brad and get to talk to him, hopefully, you know, about his experience, you know, being, you know, that legacy character. And I think it's going to be very, very cool. But let's take also a quick second, though, to talk about an individual person as well, who I'm very excited about. I think both of us are very excited about. But we almost lost her, but we got her back. And being that everybody and their mother knows how important The Lost Boys is to me, and you're a big fan as well, dude, we got V. Neal at this one. And I'm super excited about that because makeup artists it's a huge part of the genre. You can't, you know, practical effects, special effects, you know, you and I have met Tom Savini, all that kind of stuff. But like V. Neal, like Oscar winning V. Neal, won an Oscar for the makeup for Beetlejuice, won an Oscar for the makeup of Mrs. Doubtfire, which Mrs. Vamp loves that movie. And then, of course, doing the makeup for The Lost Boys, with her basically being one of the last 3 autographs that you and I need to basically consider our respective pieces complete. 2 of which we do feel that we can get, you know, with V, and then hopefully Diane in the future if she gets back out on the con circuit. Jamie, I don't know, Devil. That one I think is going to be a little bit of a struggle. But I'm also just very excited to meet Veal in general. I've got so much respect for what she does, but she also does her own Vampire Weekend, which is in 2 weeks out in LA. She was just at the Endless Night Los Angeles Vampire Ball that, you know, was, you know, presented by Vamp Fangs and Father Sebastian. So that's a really cool event that she just did. And that's really cool that she's going to be able to do this event that we're going to be at right between those events. And I definitely hope that she's maybe got a little bit of time to talk to us, because while we could talk to her, of course, for hours, you know, just the ability to get her for 15 minutes would definitely be a treat. And I definitely hope that we can make that happen, my friend.
Oh yeah, because I've been a huge fan of hers. A lot of people who are in that special effects, you know, watch the Face Off show that was on all the time. But yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to, that's what's cool about this year's New Jersey, you know, this one that we're getting ready to go to. Not only do we not get one awesome freaking, you know, makeup artist with V. Neal, we also get one of the huge freaking makeup artists of like the, you know, the late 80s, early 90s that started K&B with Rob, you know, with Kurtzman. You know, Kurtzman's going to be there, which is weird because, like I said, when it comes to the like the special effects and makeup guys, you tend not to meet a lot of them. Like I said, you can meet Tom Savini, he's been at cons, and Greg Nicotero once in a while does a con sometimes. But other than that, you really don't get to meet many of these makeup artists and stuff like that. So it's cool that you kind of get these guys, you know, who are kind of behind the scenes, and you can talk to them about, like, you know, makeup movies and making monsters. But not also is that, you know, Kurtzman also is a director too, which he directed one of our favorite movies, you know, Wishmaster. So that's going to be cool talking about that. So I just think it's cool, like, you know, that you know, not only do you get these cool actors, that you're getting these, you know, these awesome, people like that. And, you get these musicians, which, we're getting ready to talk about with musicians on this. I mean,
Hmm.
we're always talking about how we want more musicians at these cons. And, they brought some New Jersey boys.
That they did, yeah. Let's get, let's talk a little bit about Youth Gone Wild, as Snake and Rachel from Skid Row are going to be joining us at New Jersey HorrorCon, and that's super duper awesome. I have a little piece of memorabilia that I'm planning to bring with me. I was fortunate to see Skid Row many years ago during the short run that Tony Harnell from TNT was fronting that band, and they played Maryland Live Casino, and I was able to hang out with Rachel and with their drummer Rob at a little after party bar, and we had a great time with that. And Rachel and Rob actually were able to sign my set list, so it'd be really cool to have the opportunity to get Snake on there, and I think that would be really really cool. But yeah, man, I mean, we love our musicians, from other cons that have brought in, Wednesday 13, the Misfits, White Zombie, just to name a few, so, and I do feel from various cons that we've done, the musicians have lacked a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, you and I got the opportunity to hang with Randy Blythe not that long ago from Lamb of God. Very, very cool, super awesome guy. But yeah, I love the fact that, that musicians have a place in these cons. And for the record, because they might be watching, that's not a personal shot at you guys, American Grim. You're our boys. But as far as also being brought in as guests, it's very cool that Skid Row is going to be there, and I'm really looking forward to it. I understand that it's when it comes to that band, it is the Snake and Rachel show for sure. But man, it really would have been sweet though if Scotty was going to be there too.
Yeah. We can
the three OGs that are in the band still.
We can ask him how Ricky's doing, if he's still is he still in prison,
Yeah.
How his life is going so far, and ask him all the crazy questions, ask him, are the geriatrics going wild now, or
Absolutely. Yeah, because Ricky was a young boy, but he may have a heart of stone, but he's an old man now. So
Yep.
definitely have to see how it is for that. But yeah, you had also mentioned like Terrifier and young Wesley's going to be there, which I'm really stoked about. Like you had mentioned, he's also another actor who's transcended into the Stream franchise as well. So that's very cool. But a lot of fans will remember him from the Clown Cafe scene in the second Terrifier movie with, the white eyes and the blood coming out of his mouth while he's eating the Art Crispy cereal. So I think that's going to be super duper cool to meet him and be able to add him to my ever expanding Terrifierness. Even John Abrams for that as well. He was in the third Terrifier movie. So this might be an opportunity for me where I actually have to consider that third poster to start getting that thing filled out, because there is just not room in the other places. But another couple of guests real quick that we have to talk about, because it also touches base on a previous episode of V&D, is, man, we got to take a second to talk about Frank Henenlotter and Kevin Van Henerick. I mean, bro, I'm so stoked. I am super excited for this. I mean, Frank, the director of Basket Case and Frankenhooker, and I love those movies so much. And then, of course, Kevin, the main star of Basket Case from what? V&D episode 2?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. It's cool because like you said, you got Frank, who's the director, and when we did our V&D thing for Basket Case, we had some questions about how they were going to make a sequel with the ending of Basket Case 1. So maybe we can find out those answers, and then and also we just did for our we just did. What else we didn't do? Oh yeah, we mentioned and that it's coming out. Episode hasn't come out yet, but we were doing the revenge one.
Yes.
And we're doing the I Spit on Your Grave. We are doing the remake, but we got the OG Spit on Your Grave. Camille, man, that's gonna be sweet just to talk to her and talk about the stories of just making that, because like you said, when it comes to female torture films, revenge films, that's like, everyone's number one on the list.
Absolutely. That's going to be so cool. Yeah, like the movie I Spit on Your Grave, it's and not for the same movie style reasons, which our beloved Fangs and Infernos they'll understand when it comes to this, because it was our most recent episode release. But I Spit on Your Grave is that gold standard revenge movie, just like Vampiros Lesbos is often considered the gold standard of erotic horror. But the fact that, Camille Keaton is going to be there, I mean, that's so awesome. And one other person that I think is kind of cool for us to touch on real quick, outside of the genre, but somebody who you and I very much grew up on. And bro, let's take a second to talk about Luke Edwards.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of The Wizard. Wizard was the greatest movie. When I was just talking, to people about it, I'm like, it was literally a hour and a half movie plugging the Super Mario Brothers 3 game.
Pretty much.
That was pretty much what it was. It was just like, oh my god. It was, like I said, it's got that 80s camp. It's got Fred Savage in it, so it's gonna be great.
Dude, the Power Glove.
The Power Glove that everybody wanted to get.
That everybody bought because of the movie, and then everyone was collectively pissed at.
Yeah, because that was the worst thing ever made. It was horrible. It was not worth the lot of money. It was expensive as shit too. Like, you were the rich cool kid if you had that.
Yeah,
the only thing that ever made the Power Glove cool was Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. And that was definitely a good one for that, for sure. And one other thing that I also think is pretty cool is they're bringing in a couple of Saw alumni as well in Beverly and Frankie, which I think is very, very cool. Mrs. Vamp's a big Saw person, so we're looking forward to meeting Beverly in particular. Frankie's cool. He was definitely that. He was that villain without being like the villain, because everybody remembers him chucking Shawnee into the syringe pit.
Yeah.
But I definitely am also looking forward to meeting Beverly in general, though, too, because she was also in The Crow, City of Angels. And, I love to collect my Crow people. That's also something that I'm really looking forward to, like we spoke momentarily about with Robert Kurtzman, is he did the makeup for The Crow Salvation. So it's kind of cool to potentially get to throw a couple of more Siggies onto my Crow posters. So
oh yeah, it's same thing with us with Kurtzman, because he was a visual director on The Devil's Rejects. So we're definitely gonna add him to the pile. It's just like you said with the Lost Boys with V. It was like a person that we wouldn't even think that we would be putting on our poster. Our stuff. We figured okay, yeah, and then we're like, oh crap, now V is one of those ones that her and like Kurtzman's IMDb lists are like looking at Clint Howard's IMDb list. It's like the amount of movies that they've done, especially like when you go with V Neil, because like you said it earlier too, was like not only did she do a bunch of these Tim Burton movies and The Lost Boys, but like these big huge movies like you said that are just like comedy gold, like you said with Miss Doubtfire and stuff like that. So just like she's not strictly just in the horror genre. Or Kurtzman, yeah, I mean, granted he's done a lot more stuff outside the genre, but he's mainly known as like a horror effects guy, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be pretty cool that to talk to him, especially with those old days, what I mean? Like, I know that he broke away with with Nick Nicotero and Howard Berger when they were K&B, but like that was one of the big names of like horror genre makeup artists. You got like Stan Winston and Tom Savini and stuff like that, and K&B is like cemented their name on that list. So it's gonna be pretty cool. And it's just like and then like you said, you got a lot of little weird, not, I don't want to say weird guests because they're not weird, but like just like little quirks and perks, because you got your girl from a vampire movie, the Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the best, just like our dude from Michael Myers is maybe not in the best Michael Myers movie. Yeah, she might not have been in the best best vampire movie, but hey man,
Randy Roderick.
Yep.
Yeah, from Dracula 2, from the Wes Craven trilogy of Dracula
Yeah.
movies. And like I said, yeah, look, maybe not the best Dracula movie ever made, but like when you and I were talking about her appearance, I mean, the one thing that I said is I was like, hey, look, I understand. Of course, there are movies of Dracula fame that I consider incredibly high, and there's other movies of Dracula fame that are definitely lower down the list. But the bottom line is, it's another opportunity for me to add to my ever expanding vampire collection. And even also, again, like we were talking about with V, is Devil. You're the biggest Pee Wee Herman fan that I know, man. And she has her thumbprint on Pee Wee's Playhouse, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I said. I'm like, I probably could literally spend $1 million on all the stuff that I would want V to sign and talk about. Like I said, I'm hoping we can get a little bit of her time, but I mean, like I said, like I said, she got to work on, with Pee Wee stuff and stuff like that. She got to work with that stuff like Paul Rubens. She obviously worked with, Tim Burton, which is a huge thing for me. So it's like, yeah, it's just like. And especially because we me being such a huge Pee Wee Herman fan and stuff like that too. It's just going to be kind of sad and somber because as this of recording, we just found out a couple days ago that we lost Mr. Yvonne, which was another Pee Wee Herman cast alumni that we've lost in the time. So it's like
Thought about you immediately, brother.
Yep. So it's like it's gonna be cool talking to her. But like I said, I mean, just like I was all the cool people that they have. I mean, like I said, that's why I always liked New Jersey Horror Con, because it's just like, you never really kind of know who you're gonna get. I mean, when you go to certain cons, and yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that like cons don't. I don't mean that they get the same people over and over again. I mean, sometimes certain cons do that. You have that, but it's like I said, you can all of a sudden just be like, wait, that was kind of out of left field. Like I would have never expected, like we said with the Revenge of the Nerds one,
Yeah.
I mean, like the Halloween Town one kind of makes a little bit more sense. It's horror adjacent, it's horror kid likewise,
Yeah.
like with your Hocus Pocus people, you know what I mean? It's not particularly horror, it's more scary kid stuff, but it's still in that horror kind of gothic, realm and stuff like that. So it's always cool to get some of these people that they have. I mean, I'm all for like meeting these guests and just like certain people that you've not seen before. It's like, oh my god, I've never seen that person at a con before, or never seen them at a con before. So that's kind of cool. I'm always digging, what it is. And like I said, it's always just a cool atmosphere. Everybody's always really, really cool. They got some, one little thing that we got to talk about, which is really, really cool, is that, they have a lot of independent film directors, and
Yes.
they're going to have one of the film directors. I don't know if his name is maybe, and you'll figure it out here in a second, and you can tell me what it is. But I know he's going to be there, and his film is going to be shown, because this is also, that's a cool thing about the New Jersey Horror Con. It's a horror con and film festival, so they play a lot of independent horror films. And the director of this movie, Forest Hills, I'm looking forward to doing that, because a lot of people don't know that Forest Hills was the last movie that Shelley Duvall, before she passed away, kind of brought her out of retirement, and he got her for this movie. So I'm really looking forward to not only seeing that movie, but talking to him, and with his experience of working with, especially like somebody like Shelley Duvall, who's a legend in our in our horror community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Scott Goldberg.
Yeah, Scott Goldberg. Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be a great one as well too. Especially, it'll be interesting to simply, and I can only imagine it not being filled with like positivity, but it's also very well documented. Shelley's just struggles in the
Yeah.
film industry. Obviously going all the way back to The Shining, because Stanley has a very, I mean, for lack of a better term, controversial style in the way he treats the talent to get the best out of them. And it can leave lasting effects. With Shelley, it did. But of course, also shout out to the late great Robin Williams. I mean, Popeye, dude, that movie's so great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that movie to death, because I was also a really avid like Popeye fan with the cartoon growing up as well. So I always loved that as well. But yeah, it'll be very cool to get to talk to Scott, especially being that he got to do the last movie with Forest Hills with Shelley Duvall. So I think that is very, very cool. And one other person for us to talk about before we kind of wrap things up in our preview, that I think is kind of a cool appearance is Richard Burgi, because like also with the success of like Thanksgiving, for example, a lot of people in the Eli Roth universe are making the rounds as well. Of course, Eli's doing his thing. I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment, but the person who played Carver in Thanksgiving is the same. But Richard has multiple experiences with Eli, because not only is he the villain of Hostel 2, he was also in the Green Inferno. And you and I both love the Green Inferno.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna, and that's almost like, with the Hostel too, you're getting kind of a double feat, because you have another guy, which you have to look up his name, who it is, but he was the main guy that was in Hostel 2 as well, and he was the actor that was in Hercules. He did the voice for Hercules. It's actually going to be there. I can't remember what his name is. Do you know what his
Roger
name
Bart.
is? Yeah, Roger Bart. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So, I mean, anybody who's looking forward to, who got a chance to meet, maybe they had a Hostel poster and they got to meet Eli, or they're going to start. That's kind of cool that, you got the main two guys and they're doing a photo op with them wearing their, the cool smock that they wear in Hostel too. So that's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah, like the doctor kind of butcher leather, kind of like that. It's kind of like that doc. Honestly, probably the best thing to kind of compare it to is Repo the Genetic Opera.
Yeah.
It's that kind of like, that kind of legal assassin, the Repo Man type outfits, to be able to get those garbs clean after you do bad things. And yeah, man, like we spoke about at the top of the preview, it's very cool when cons are cognizant of a fan's ability to fill up their memorabilia. And I really appreciate that. Like, don't get me wrong, Devil, you and I are very blessed to get to travel around, do these cons, get to make these appearances and stuff that we never take for granted. And it's great being able to go to Jersey for I'll use the Lost Boys as an example. Go to Jersey for a Lost Boys autograph. Go to Pennsylvania for a Lost Boys autograph. Go to somewhere in Maryland to get another person who I was waiting to get. Any kind of various opportunities of which we get to travel around and do things. But it's awesome when you get to like hit multiple check marks, and maybe your one poster that was living with one little autograph for like ever suddenly has like a little collection, which is very, very cool. It's kind of like that with the Crow poster, that when you and I met James O'Barr, we got our posters, and we signed him and he was great. And then down the line, we were fortunate to meet Thomas Jane. But for a long time, it was the Thomas Jane show, just rocking on that poster. But then, Edward Furlong became available, which was awesome. And now we've got Beverly, and now we've got Robert. So, I get to go from first there was one, then there was two, then there was three, to potentially now five, after Jersey HorrorCon. So it's very, very cool. And, just like us, we've been professionals in this game for a while, but dude, we're still fans. And it's exciting to meet the people that do these movies that, that we love and that we get to enjoy, with the Neos, with Pee-wee's Playhouse and Lost Boys and Beetlejuice, and, the Blair Witch Project. It's super duper cool. And again, shout out to Ryan and everybody at New Jersey HorrorCon for having us back, always being very gracious, as well as being very gracious and bringing us on board very early in the show. So that was a very, very cool thing, for with us only being, 1 or 2 months old as a show, to have a established con be like, absolutely, come on in, do what you do best, and give us a product afterwards. And we've always wanted to keep that relationship strong ever since. So again, shout out to New Jersey HorrorCon as well. And
before we go though, too, speaking of professionals, I figure we can give our boy a quick shout out too while we're talking about it, because he is a New Jersey HorrorCon official guy. Where our buddy Steve, man, Authentics, man. If anybody, you're going to these cons and you're like, oh man, I can't make it to these cons, or I can't go like that. You go to these guys who, go to Steve, man. He gives these consignments, man. he'll go and he'll get a poster for you signed. He'll get this guy signed for you, and he's the coolest guy in the game. He hooked us up with with our Kiefer Sutherland when we thought all hope was lost.
Yep.
He brought us in, so that's cool. I figured we'd give him a little shout out, especially because he's the official consignment of New Jersey HorrorCon. So yeah, anytime if you need something signed, man, just go and check out Steve. I'll probably put like a little link or something so you can go to him. But yeah, he's the coolest in the game. I know there's probably a lot of snakes in that business that are probably fake signing stuff and doing all that stuff, but he's the real deal, man. He takes photos of all the stuff getting signed. He takes care of your packages and your your memorabilia and your personal items. He takes care of them very well. So yeah. I figured we just give him a quick little shout out too, because since he's a New Jersey HorrorCon guy, man. He's a made man in New Jersey.
Absolutely, he sure is. No, and he really is great. Takes great care, and he's 100% legit. And takes what he does, very seriously. He cares about all of that stuff because, I won't lie, Devil, but when you and I had given him our Lost Boys stuff for him to take care of it for Keither, he couldn't help but have a little bit of paranoia with that because our stuff was pretty heavily filled at the time, to then be saying goodbye to it for a little while. But sure enough, photos, autograph, all that great stuff. So yes, shout out to Steve, the official guy for New Jersey HorrorCon with consignment, autographs, and all that great stuff. Devil, before we let everybody, fly off back to their caves or go back down in flames to their beloved infernos as well, what would you say is a couple of the top things that you're looking forward to when it comes to New Jersey HorrorCon? And then we'll see everybody in a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, number one is gonna be V Neil's like a huge one. And like I said, a lot of it's just the atmosphere. It's gonna be cool, just to see all the people that we've met and stuff like that. Going to see Lord Damien again, going to see American Grim. More than likely, hopefully, we'll see one of our sponsors in Coney Island Sorceries, and maybe we'll be able to get that Slayer one. I'm looking forward to maybe picking up a Slayer sauce. But yeah, it's just cool. We have like the I Heart Horror guys there that we're really cool with. So it's just fun. Our Jack, the vampire Fang Man, the Fang Man, number one fanger in the world. He's always there. So like I said, he's always fang banging or doing something. He's always banging something. I don't know what it is, but anyway.
No, absolutely, man, for sure. No, of course, V Neil. Also, I've been very excited to meet Wesley, a young actor, but such a cool, iconic look in that Terrifier Clown Cafe scene. So definitely look forward to seeing him. I think that's going to be absolutely awesome. Having the Blair Witch people around, I think is going to be super duper cool. And also because it's a cool thing for me and Mrs. Vamp to do together. Definitely looking forward to meeting Brad Lurie. For she and I to get to do something together, because she has her Halloween poster that's very important to her as well. So it'll be cool to rock that out as well. So it's definitely going to be a good one. And then of course, absolutely our friends and family in American Grim, and of course my brethren, Lord Damien. Can't wait to see you, brother. It's always going to be a good time, man. But again, thank you so much, New Jersey HorrorCon. Thank you so much, Fangs and Infernos. We're going to see you guys in only a few short days. So we'll see you in Edison, New Jersey. It's going to be a great time for New Jersey HorrorCon. Make sure you guys are traveling safe. Be good to each other. Take care of each other. And we're going to have a big horror-filled party. We'll see you guys in a few days. As always, Devil and myself want to say thank you to all our beloved sponsors and partners of the Vampire and Devil podcast. We'll see you guys in a few short days at New Jersey HorrorCon, March 1st and 2nd in Edison, New Jersey. Horns up, Fangs out.